Hello and welcome to Edinburgh Business Stories. EBS is hosted by myself, Alex Richards of Umore, a video production studio based in Edinburgh and Bristol, and Alan Smith of Action Coach, providing business coaching throughout Edinburgh and the Lothians. If you aren't already, remember to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this upcoming episode of Edinburgh Business Stories. A big thank you to Rathbones for partnering with us on this episode. Rathbones. Invest well, live well. Anna, so great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us who you are and what your business does.
So I am Anna White. I have ScotlandShop. So we are a retail business. We're a bricks and mortar and e-commerce business. We're based down in Duns in the Scottish borders, home of the very finest textiles in the world. And we have shops in Edinburgh, Crieff, and one in the US in Albany, New York State.
Amazing. So, and your jacket is great.
Yes, this is the New York City Tartan Day Parade tartan. So made for one of our trips out there when we do the parade in April every year.
Oh, amazing. Looks great. Well, let's go back to the beginning. How did this all start? You can go back as early as you like.
How did it begin? I was probably a bit of a serial job person when I left uni. I did marketing and French at university, so always had a bit of an eye on the international, done a bit of travelling around. So just did loads of different jobs, mainly for little companies. So that gave me a really clear picture of what I didn't want to be like, I think, if I was a boss or if I ran a business. And I don't think I was really thinking about that. I don't think I was thinking I'm going to open my own business at that point. But now looking back, I think, that I was constantly thinking of things like that as I went along. I think my parents despaired of my many jobs, moving about every 6 months, clearly easily bored. And then my husband, who eventually married at that time, was just my boyfriend, and he's down the Scottish borders, so kind of needed to, farmers don't move house, so I needed to go to him. So needed to move back down to the borders and look for a job down there, really, to save the commuting, and work for partly Scottish Enterprise, partly the council, on a project linking schools and industry, which took me into all the fabulous textiles companies. And I think my eyes probably lit up at that point. And just that feeling of, there was no e-commerce. Well, e-commerce was just beginning. I had worked for a web agency at one point. So, there's an opportunity here to take this product direct to the consumer that probably didn't exist before, and to do that internationally. So that's where it all began, from my bedroom in my cottage.
And out of interest, you said you had worked for a number of smaller businesses, but your eyes lit up at the textiles bit. What kind of businesses were you kind of working with back then, and why textiles?
Why so I worked for an insurance company. I worked for a marketing consultant. I worked for an agency who dealt with National Tyres. So I did a lot of customer service with them. So I base a lot of my memories of poor customer service from that, but also how hard we tried to deliver good service despite the organisation and the kind of structure that we had to work in. I learned a lot. Actually, that consultancy was really good. They worked for a lot of different clients. I did a lot of work on when black cabs, when then private hire came in. And that was totally random. But just understanding how businesses worked was so interesting to me. That's why I liked those little companies. I'd done lots of graduate applications for big companies like Tate & Lyle and St. Ivel and things like that. And actually, I think I didn't get a job, obviously, because I probably would have taken it if I'd got one. But there was a bit of realisation there. Maybe I'm a small company girl rather than a big corporate.
Okay.
And I think the way I run my business now is quite like it is a small business, but I still, that feeling I think that we have is very much a tight-knit family. We're in this together. Feel to it.
That was before the council stuff. So you did the small businessy stuff, and then
did the small businessy stuff, and then got that opportunity. And I mean that, there was great career opportunity in that, because I was one of the youngest doing that job, and then I was working out. They moved me kind of to a more national role quite quickly, and I was working out of Glasgow. I had a lot of freedom to develop projects in my own way, which was really nice. And you start to get a feel for doing stuff in your own way. But just that feeling of, I can't make as much difference here as I want to, and I'm going to get frustrated with this. And also, I'm commuting to Glasgow 3 days a week, a couple of hours commute each way. This isn't sustainable. So need to create something for myself. So I probably started the business to make myself a job, but also because I really love the area I live in, and I love that local community, and I love that. I just felt like this is how I can contribute to the economy, and I can make myself a nice job, but then can I make nice jobs for other people too? So there's kids coming out of school, there's actually something exciting for them to go and do in the local area. They don't have to move away if they don't want to.
Yeah. And what was it about textiles then? You said you kind of, you were lit up by that.
My background's not textiles.
Yeah.
I'm probably a saleswoman more than anything else.
Right.
But I think every entrepreneur has to be a salesperson, don't they? So, textiles, I just love colour. I love texture. I love that quality. And that's those kind of core things have followed as we've changed the business over the years. That's not really changed, that whole made in Scotland ethos, the quality of the product and putting things together that look beautiful. That aesthetic. I love packing in the dispatch department because you see everything that comes in and goes out. Yeah. You see it, it's going through your hands, you're packing it up and making it look beautiful. Yeah. And that I get a real buzz out of that. And people are like, what are you doing in the packing department? Like, I'm just giving them a hand. It's really busy. But I get a real kick out of that. Yeah. So, nice. That's...
Day one. Business opens, you're sat at your table in the farmhouse or whatever. Are you building a website? What do you remember it? Like, what was it?
Yeah, well, so I ran both at the same time. So when I handed my notice in at Scottish Enterprise, they're a bit like, I'm not sure you're really meant to have set up a company and be running it at the same time as doing your job, which you've clearly been doing for 6 months. But I said, well, I'm teaching kids about entrepreneurialism, so I'm just living it now. I'm living it. So I think one strong memory is walking out of that building when I'd handed my notice in and I was leaving, was walking out and they had fancy revolving doors in that Glasgow office and a nice coffee place downstairs. And, at that time I had a nice salary. Oh, so nice. But that even though you were leaving all of that safety and security behind, that kind of feeling of excitement and optimism about what was to come. So I won't forget walking out of that building. But sitting in my little farm cottage in the most, I've got a picture of me sitting in at my computer. Yeah, that was just me sitting in my little spare room at my computer, doing e-commerce, doing web stuff, doing marketing, writing stuff, creating products, working out how I could reach customers. How can I reach the customers? And that's the same thing I do today. Yeah. If I go back to my desk today, this afternoon, I will be thinking about how do we get more customers? Who do we partner with? Who do we collaborate with? Who do we market to? So that's not really changed. And that's what I always have got a buzz out of, is that whole, okay, how can we reach these people? How can we reach more people? How can we tell more people about this little beautiful scarf that's made in the Scottish borders?
Yeah. This episode of Edinburgh Business Stories is brought to you by Rathbones. Rathbones is one of the UK's leading wealth managers with an office right here in the city of Edinburgh. They have a long history of helping people plan and invest for the future they want, and believe there's one word you should live by: well. Well learned, well invested, well timed. Maybe you're scaling a business or climbing the career ladder, and you're earning bonuses, dividends, and a significant salary. Success is rewarding, but it often leaves you time poor. Rathbones understand the demands of business ownership and professional careers, because when you plan well, you can grow well, live well, and sleep well. Wherever you are on your wealth journey, Rathbones can help you go further, and they do it all well. To learn more, visit rathbones.link/EBS. Rathbones. Invest well, live well. When you invest, your capital is at risk.
And so you started on e-commerce. And so how long did it take to kind of make also to step into bricks and mortar as well then? Tell us about that.
So that was, a long time. So we started 2002 and we didn't go bricks and mortar till 2017.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah, it took a long time. And,
Wow.
and I remember sitting in the coffee shop opposite where the Edinburgh shop is. So Edinburgh was the first one we opened on
Right.
Queensferry Street to the West End. And I remember sitting in the little, it's a bar really, opposite with my coach at the time.
Yeah.
And him saying, you do realise this is never going to be the same again. You're now on a 7-day operation and you're standing in front of a customer. It's never going to be the same again. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And me like, yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. But it's so different. So different. You go from having that little business all under control in one space.
Yeah.
All the staff are in one place. The product all comes through one place. It's all so easy to control, which I love a bit of control. And then suddenly you've got another location, people and staff doing things. You're not there all the time. You can't be there all the time. There's stuff going on that you maybe don't know about, or you know isn't quite right, or is fantastic. It can be all things, but yeah, completely different world. And standing in front of a customer rather than being on the phone or being on email, or it's totally different.
And it's different, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you enjoy it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love a day in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I come back from the shop and Kate, my operations manager, is like, yeah, you just want to work in the shop, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah. I love the people side.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're surrounded by this amazing product you've created and that you can share that with people. You're just constantly sharing, and the stories behind it, and how it's made, and the tradition, and the why it's this colour or that colour, and their stories and what brought them to your shop. How did you come here? How did you find us? How did you know like this little totty business called ScotlandShop? How did you know that we were here? And that's so intriguing, of the various ways that they've come to find us.
And is that, I suppose that's almost live everyday kind of market research as well. So has anything come out of what you've uncovered from interactions with customers? Has that kind of led to anything in terms of collaborations or?
Oh yeah. And this is what if you speak to the teams in the shops, they'll be like, oh, she's always banging on about this, is opportunities. Yeah. Everyone who walks in the door is an opportunity. Yeah. And you don't have to sell to them. No. But they have to walk out the door knowing what we do, understanding what we could do for them, what problem can we solve for them, but also who are they linked to? So someone comes in and they're a member of the Burns Club and they're getting a bow tie for the event. So their value of their order is £31, but they're connected to an event of 350 people. So potentially, I'm like, there's 350 people that person. Did you get their email address? Did you talk to them about the event? Who else? Who attends the event? Who markets the event? What locations it in? Where do the people stay? And you can, and when people start with us, you can see them go, whoa, right, okay, Anna, calm down. But it's like, no, this is, if you work for us, that's what you've got to be tuned into, is, oh, brilliant. Right, I met this guy today. And that doesn't mean if you work in the shop, you have to then go on and do all of that kind of follow-up. You can if you want. That opportunity is there. But it's, okay, I'm going to pass that on to Duns or put that into my footfall sheet to say someone needs to follow up either with the Burns Club or with the customer or...
A footfall sheet.
Yeah, I've just noted that as well. Yeah, tell us more. Go on.
Oh, yeah, the footfall sheet. Yeah. Well, that's because the footfall sheet, when I'm in the shop and I'm going, where did you come from? Which hotel referred you? Which travel company told you about us? Or did you just find us online and our advertising is working really well, or our organic content is working well? So that's what then I want the team to put in the footfall sheet. They came from France. They found us online. They came from Australia. Their granny loves Isle of Skye tartan, and they found the Isle of Skye. They couldn't get it on the Royal Mile, so they came specially to us. Okay, right. That's a good thing to know. So every week I'm going through the footfall sheet and I'm like, ooh, opportunity, right? Need to follow up on that. Ooh, that's interesting. That hotel's come up 3 times, right? Has anyone been to speak to that hotel? Have we chatted to them and said, thanks so much for sending us your people? And they go, oh, I don't think we have sent anyone. Like, well, actually, we've had 3 people from your hotel this week. That's great. We're really grateful for that. Can we do more? Can you send us more? Yeah. Can we explain more to you of what we do? And they go, what, are you just a tartan shop? No. We're way more than a tartan shop. Your customer comes in, it's an experience. So that's the footfall sheet. Is full of a mine of information.
But what's interesting there, you said it earlier, every business owner is a salesperson, needs to be a salesperson at heart. And that for me is evidence of, just that, the conversations that you have, the opportunities that you uncover, and then that just captures it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
it's now that's the opportunities sheet.
Yes.
That's what we've, because we're like, okay, we get that, but it's really hard to explain that when new people come to work for you, is for them to get their head around, why is she making me fill this sheet in? So tedious. What a waste of my time. I had a manager who was like, well, I'm filling in your sheet. I could have been speaking to a customer. I'm like, well, that's okay. You can speak to the customer all day. I don't mind if at the end of the day you put a couple of notes in of my highlights of the day. We were really busy, but these are the highlights that you need to know. Yeah. But that understanding of how critical that is for us. Yeah. Because there's negative, obviously, in there as well of, I could have sold 3 kilt jackets, but we didn't have them in stock. Right, okay. Who's in charge of stock here? Let's get this sorted.
And is that a daily discipline then, Anna, that the team do in store?
Oh, all the time. That sheet should be open. Yeah. No, it is. It's open on their main PC all the time. So they'll just hop on and log bits throughout the day. Yeah.
Do you think that's driven from your day-to-days of e-commerce? Because, in e-commerce, you're constantly, all you have is data, right? But, it's just, but often you see bricks and mortar not translate the same e-com data as you would in the store, right? Mm-hmm. So or is it just great sales intuition from you? Or both?
It's probably both. It is both, because you're right about the e-commerce. It's all about, and I'm not really a data-driven. Anyone who's coached me is like, know your numbers, Anna. Numbers, Anna. That's probably not my first thing that I'm going to go to is delve into the data. I'm kind of, I'm supposed to look at the numbers. That's right. Must go back and look at the numbers. So I'm more experiential, I suppose, naturally. But no, you need that. You have to have that. You can't grow it without that. So I think the two, it's interesting what we're unusual in that we were e-commerce and then we went to bricks and mortar, and there's so many shops who were shops and brilliant shops, and then they've got e-commerce, and I think people come to work for us and I've had, and they're like, there's quite a lot of computer work. Well, yeah, of course there is. Everything's on a system. Everything has to be logged. So I am like that. I've always been big into customer database, information. Do we know which tartan that customer loves? Because if we know that they love Smith Ancient tartan, we can actually offer them, when we create a new product, we can then offer it to them in that tartan. So it's so much more relevant to them than just saying, we've created a new jacket style. Actually, we've created a jacket you can have unique to you in your tartan. And that's what we're all about.
So you started in 2017 was the first bricks and mortar, and then the decision to open another one?
So we did Edinburgh. And Edinburgh, I think, was a bit of we really are a tourist business. We immediately were very successful with any tourism footfall, any overseas customers. And we already obviously had a huge, 40% of our market is in the US. Wow. So, and it's pretty much always been, it's grown, but it's always been a significant part of our business. So as soon as we opened our doors there, that was like, we really are much more of a tourist business. Okay, right, let's roll with that. So we also at the same time were then starting to do some events out in the States. We went 2019, we did New York Tartan Week, and that was something that we'd heard about, we knew about. We had people who said it's a total waste of time. waste of time, wouldn't even bother, waste of time. Others who are like, oh yeah, it's really good fun, yeah, it's really good. Like, right, is this a commercial opportunity? And then we got so much mixed feedback, we thought, do you know what, let's go and stick a toe in the water and see what we think. So we put probably quite a large foot in the water, and that we thought, we'll just go out and we'll have a bit of a pop-up measuring service while we're there, meet all the people. So off we went, did that. We'll march in the parade. I had this crazy, well, everyone kind of looked at me as if to say, what are you doing now, Anna? And I said, let's create a mascot. Let's have our own mascot. And he'll be in a tartan suit, and he'll have a top hat, and we can use this mascot to promote ourselves. And I've got the email still, I've kept it, of when I sent it out to the team to say, I've had this idea in that kind of, I think you might think I'm mental, but I think this is a really good idea. And Emily, who's still with me now 13 years later, was like, yes, I remember that email, Anna. And I did think you were off your head, but actually it was a really good thing. And so Tam the tailor, the giant top-hatted tartan man, came to the States with us and marched in the parade, and of course was like the most favourite thing there. My son came in his little tartan 3-piece suit. He'd be about 10 at the time, so he was really cute. So yeah, he was on the TV. It was brilliant. Yeah. We absolutely nailed it. We did. And it was brilliant. And that was the start of, this is amazing, being on the ground with these people, and the relationships we built when we were there it was so good. So that was great. We were like, right, we're on a roll now. We then went and did some other Highland Games, things like that. Went into Canada as well, did a little bit there. So we had a bit of a poach around, I suppose, to think, right, is it just New York? And as soon as we did that, we were like, yeah, this kind of replicates elsewhere. There's something we can do here, and being on the ground is key to it. So being on the ground, obviously, if you're popping back and forth from Scotland, is difficult. So hence why we then thought, well, are we going to have a shop? So that was in our heads. COVID happened. Yeah. So that changed. You kind of, I'll not forget that day of thinking, is everything I've built just going to go away overnight? Everything, all that we've worked for. So that was really, but then there was the kind of 10 minutes later of, actually, no, we're not having this. What can we do instead? So we did lots of things to get through that. But we then had lots more time at our desks to do research. So as someone who's a bit kind of seat of their pants in the old research side, for once we actually, and Emily was the huge driver of that. Mm-hmm. We did our huge research into where should we go in the States, where our giant spreadsheet of data of where everybody is, where's the Scottish populations, all of these indicators of where it would work for us. And yeah, came out of COVID and opened a shop in Albany in New York State.
Because I was going to ask that, like, how the States is huge. So it's just like, where do you even start?
Well, and it was a bit of that. We divided it into 5, roughly, and Northeast and then California came out top as our kind of in our ranking process of different criteria we had. But then California, like 8-hour time difference, that's just going to be murder. And having done it, to be honest, it's bad enough with 5 with New York. Mm-hmm. So then Northeast became the place, and then you're like, well, do we do New York? Well, no, because we can't really afford it, and the space is, we're going to have a tiny space, and that's not really, we need space for events stock. We know that events is going to be core to what we do, so we want a bigger space. Then, yeah, I don't know, we just kept coming back to Albany. There's so much heritage, so much story. Even the road we're on is called Loudon Road, which is linked to Campbell of Loudon, and there's so many different links. There's a great Highland Games, local Highland Games, Capital District Games are held there every year. There's lots of Highland Games in and around there. So there was lots of different things, but in the end, to be honest, it's a little bit of just plant your flag and get on with it, because it's a massive place. And I think wherever you go, there'll be challenges, but it's just about making it work, really.
I'm interested in the the idea of partnerships and collaboration as well. Because I guess it's easy. The lazy way of doing retailing is to say, right, I'll set myself up and I'll build it and they will come. But actually,
they don't.
They don't. So give us your take on that, please.
No, they don't. And I mean, you see that even in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So that shop's well established. You know, it's a good shop. It does well. But you still, there is still not enough footfall to that shop. And then last July, you go home on the 30th of June and you wake up on the 1st of July and they've decided to start doing the hotel renovation on the corner. And there's an enormous scaffolding has gone up, which basically looks like the street's shut. And where you had decent footfall, the footfall's gone.
Right.
You're like, right, well, how are we going to deal with this? Because and you go and speak to them and they don't really care because they're just building their hotel and they say they'll put up posters or banners but they don't.
Yeah.
I've tried really hard, but I haven't persuaded them to do that. But they, you know, they've ruined our footfall. So you can't just allow that 18 months that'll probably be up for. So you're like, well, am I just going to accept having 50% footfall for 18 months? Well, I can't. So what am I going to do? So they will not come.
And is that where the salesman, almost the salesperson's kind of instinct of just having conversations as people come into the store and building it from there comes?
Yeah, and it's about who's around us. Yeah. So who can we partner with? Who else is in the West End? Which other businesses? The ice cream shop across the road, can we do something with them? They have people in and out all the time. Do their staff understand what we do? So if they have someone in that they can tell those people, oh, but have you been across the road? We're really lucky the Scottish Gantry moved in next door to us in Edinburgh. So they do whiskey tastings, a beautiful location. They've done it up, it's fantastic. So then you've got a really nice, so I've had customers that I then say, oh, have you been next door? And I, physically take them next door and they do the same for us. Have you been next? So, there's little things like that. And then there's larger scale where travel companies are bringing people to Edinburgh. Do they know what we do? Do they know we don't just sell tartan? We do great kilt demonstrations and, and other things. So, there's so much opportunity for partnership and collaboration. And I think that's where...
Yeah. So what are you looking for in people coming into the team? What are the kind of the attributes that you're really looking?
Well, everyone's different. So we've got so many different teams, and I think people are always amazed by how many different job roles you have in a business like ours, and there's a lot more to it than would appear. So if you're on the shop teams, then I suppose, what are you? You're a bit of a hunter, aren't you? You've got to hunt out the opportunities. You've got to be always ears up, ready for what else is going on here. But you've got to be a great salesperson. You've got to, but you've also got to have an incredible eye for detail. You're measuring people for kilts and suits and tailored items. So there's that flip side of, you can't just be a flash salesperson. You've got to really know your stuff. And we've got people in there, Lisa can make a kilt. Morgan is incredible at doing the great kilt demonstrations. And her knowledge of history is amazing. And
is this stuff that they bring into the team, or do you teach it and get them to learn all this
Lisa's
stuff?
Been on her kilt making course and they learn. No, generally they learn. So but they have to have a passion, because I don't think it's not just an easy job. It's you're working quite hard. You're always buzzing around. So they tend to come in with a bit of a passion for something, whether it's textiles or history or Scotland in general. You've got to love the country, because you're selling the country. That's part of the story. And asking people, where are you going? Where have you come from? Oh, you must go and do this. And we're like a visitor attraction.
Yeah.
We share places to eat, places to go. And that comes back to your partnerships bit. We're sending people constantly, right? Best haggis, go there. If you want a lovely whiskey, go there. If you want to what's off the beaten track, go here. And then down in Duns, you've got your marketing team, your accounts team, your stock team. And your stock team are super detailed, but incredible knowledge of fabric and how much fabric do you need to make this. Oh, we're low on cloth for that, but actually you could have it made in this instead. There's a different weight available. That'll work. That won't work. We could, it's finding solutions to make sure the customer gets what they want.
What restaurant do you recommend in Edinburgh for a good Scottish haggis?
Oh, do you know you'll have to cut that bit. I don't know.
So many. You wouldn't want to just...
That's right. You don't want to single one out.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all fantastic.
Exactly. You can tell that you absolutely love it. You know, you can see the energy and the passion behind it. What are some of maybe the concerns that you might have in business? What worries you?
Oh, cash all the time. I hate money. That's probably because the guys would say, get your numbers right. Yeah, I suppose I'm always interested in the top line, the pushing it forward a bit. Probably not as focused on the detail as I maybe could be. I don't like having to worry about when the wage bill's going to, I don't like the fifth we pay on the 15th of the month. I don't like that. Just planning for that, being ready for that. It's a huge wage bill. There's 31 people in the business. Yeah. So you always have times of year when that's painful.
Right.
I think I'm just constantly, it's become increasingly difficult to be profitable. That's probably the biggest challenge. Yeah. I can build the business, I can bring the sales in, but to keep the profit margin so that we can keep growing and keep investing is really hard. Yeah. It's really hard. And the supply chain's been disrupted. And what concerns me is if I see an unhappy customer as well. I don't like unhappy people, whether it's staff or customers. I want to fix it. I don't. So if we dip below our Trustpilot standard, I'm just like, we've got to sort this. Cash and people.
So you have open the Edinburgh shop, goes well, open the shop in the States, goes well, and then you look...
I would say the States has been challenging.
Okay.
In a people sense, that's been really tough, and we've got a good team there, but that has been a roller coaster ride. That I have to be honest. It's all roller coaster ride. Everything is like that, I think, in business. But that one has been really tough in terms of people and just the location's so far away and supporting that team. And the opening of it was the easy bit. I now realise the exciting bit, and and we're here. And then you kind of have that, now we've got to run it. And that's the detail element and getting that right. So.
But you can't, that's the thing with living in, you can drive up to Edinburgh and solve a problem in an hour or 2 hours. It's but you got a lot more planning. You need to think a lot more ahead.
It's probably really good for me. It makes me, you think, right, we've got to get a process correct here. So, and as we've grown, that's a lot of what it's about, is about getting the process right and becoming more structured. And you can't fly by the seat of your pants. You can't just hustle it. In your first bit to $1 million, you're hustling, you're making it work. But once you get past that size and you have more people, and you can't do that, you've got to be super organised and structured. And
you've collected up loads of experiences. Just looking at the kind of the history as well. So you've gone from e-commerce to you opening your first bricks and mortar retail. You've also then gone global to America to open retail.
International stuff.
And you've also had an acquisition as well further up the country as well in Crieff.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was that. I didn't go out looking for acquisition, but that then came to me. I suppose they came to me and said, "We think you're a great fit." Phil wanted to retire, so he had this nice little business. Was similar to ours, I suppose. So it did kind of slotted together quite nicely. They did some things that we didn't do, which was good, which was extra for us. They had a good team who were really experienced. So, and because the people are the most difficult thing to acquire, and that's what we struggled with in America. There wasn't an existing team to take over. This was a totally brand new team we had to build. So you think, well, actually, this is going to be easier because you've got an existing team. So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, it took so long. I am so impatient, but yeah, it took so long to hammer out the details. So that was learning. And just the time it then just takes. Once you take it over, you got to be patient.
Yep.
Sort the culture too, little cultural differences.
Yeah.
Guide the staff through.
Tell us about culture then. What is your culture, and how do you get everyone to fully embrace it?
Yeah, so culture, you've got to have a passion for what we do.
Yeah.
So culture, I'm going to go EOS now, because I think I mentioned that in when I first spoke to you. We're running on a system called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Yeah.
Not a very sexy name, is it? Anyway, and they talk about GWC. Do you get it? Do you want it? And are you capable? So I think we probably always did a bit of this, but now we're like 100%. We're hiring on this. We're evaluating on this. This is what we're looking at. And we're chatting to the staff all the time. So everybody right through the team is now talking about this. You know, do you get what we're doing? Do you get it?
Yeah.
And do you want it? You know, are you bouncing?
Yeah.
So that's culture is you've got to be on the bus. You've got to love what we do. And then we will look after you. We will progress you. We've got an apprentice with us who came at 16 and he's 29 and he's still with us and he's grown he came and he didn't really speak when he came and he's grown into this, fantastic top member of the team. Brilliant. Emily's been with us for years. She came in and said, I'd like a design job. And I said, she was a textile student. I said, I can't give you a design job. I'm just, at that time, a small business. We don't have a design role. But if you come and do customer service and packing, every time I get a piece of design work, you can do it. And she was like, okay. So now she's my head of branding. So, she created her own role. She's just progressively done more and more of what she wanted to do. So there's an opportunity to shape your progression with us. And we just kind of work out what people are good at. People seem to come to us and they start in one role. Kate came in to do operations and she is operations manager, but she does an awful lot more than that. But as soon as she walked in the door, I just had the feeling she was the right fit for us. But yeah, it's teamwork. I've always been a team person. I've played lots of team sports. I like my people and I want them to be happy. So I want them to come to me if they're not happy. So we try and have a really open culture where you can raise whatever you like. And EOS is very much about that. Yeah. It's about every single person having a say. So it doesn't matter what you do in the company. Come forward and say it and we'll either discuss it and sort it, or if we can't sort it, we'll tell you why, so you have a context for that.
Tell me, obviously with 31 people, and you being a people person as well, I guess it's easy to then get involved in everything going on in everyone. But
You've spotted my flaw.
How you also mentioned kind of operations managers, Emily, and what have you. So is there a management structure in there as well? And talk us through how you built that, because I think that would be quite helpful for other people listening in.
Yeah, so that structure, I suppose we've not been as structured as we should be, and that's what's led me to US, is because it provides you with a structure to slot into. Where I've worked, so I worked with a coach, and the first year we started, I've worked with him for years, but that would be 8 years ago or something. And when I first worked with him, we did something like 45% growth in the first year. So it was phenomenal, and he gave me a lot of confidence, and we did some really good stuff. But what was happening was, as we progressed, it was increasingly frustrating for both of us, where he and I would have a conversation. We used to do 8:00 on a Thursday morning, and we'd have our half hour of, right, what's going on, what's working, what's not working, what do we need to fix? And me just using him like a kind of sounding board, really, and him helping me focus. And I would walk out of that super focused, this is what we need to do, right, and walk onto the shop floor, and immediately you're hit round the head with 15 issues and you've forgotten you just get totally off track. So I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew the direction, but I wasn't communicating that well enough to the rest of the team. And that's what US is all about, is giving you that structure. So we now have the management team. There's 5 of us on that. Now going, is it 5? Is it 6? That's terrible. Anyway, so we've got our management team and basically someone from each of your key functions. We have a meeting every Friday morning. So I'm here this morning. So I'm in complete disgrace for missing that. You're only meant to miss it if you're sick or on holiday.
Is it still happening today, though?
It is.
Good.
Yes, it goes on. I am not irreplaceable, even though I obviously think I am. So that happens every week. But that we call that an L10.
Yeah.
But every department has that. Yeah. So then everyone below has that. So that's where you give everyone their voice. Yeah. So, and they can then, if they can't deal with it at their level, right, this is the issue we want to deal with. Everyone piles their issues into the meeting beforehand. Then you discuss them. You have a set amount of time. If they don't get discussed that week, too bad, they get discussed the next week. And so then it pushes up if they're not getting fixed at that, it pushes up, and then we deal with them at the top if that's how it needs dealt with. Right. But more and more you can see stuff getting dealt with at other levels. And so as soon as that's being dealt with, so there's an issue in dispatch, and I shouldn't be dealing with dispatch anyway, that should be Kate's job. So she's like, get out, Anna, that's operational, get out. But it does mean as soon as I can see, actually dispatch team have put that into their issues to discuss this week, there's a problem with that process, and they've discussed it within their team and they fixed it. Actually, that's really good. And immediately that's another 15 minutes of time for me to actually think about where we go with the business, where are we going next, what are we doing. So we started it last January. So it's not perfect, but it's going in the right direction. Great. And that I suppose for me, it does start to, you can feel the pressure coming off.
Nice.
Where the pressure was probably growing and growing, and I was thinking, I'm not actually sure how much longer I can go on at this level. Well,
23 years. Husband's a farmer.
Yes.
Raised kids.
Yes, 2 kids.
How has that been for you as a female founder?
Really lucky in my husband. And that stability, so that allows me to take risk because he's there. He, is working away. He doesn't notice in the summer that I work too many hours because he's really busy too. But he's that kind of solid, dependable. It's one location. It's been there for, the family's been in it for 100 years. So it's a small farm. It's, there's lots of similarities of the problems we face. So we're kind of on the same page, but also, and we understand when each other is on holiday and still answering the phone or dealing with things at ridiculous hours of the night. So there's that understanding there. The fact that he's really chilled. So different to me. So I'm the pusher, and he's steady. He's really doesn't get rattled, he's like my calmer. So it's a really good combination. And he's good. Like he's taken totally 50%, more than 50% of kids too. So that's allowed me to keep pushing. I mean, I think when the kids were little, you would, they're asleep, fantastic, parked underneath the office. At that time, the office was on the farm. We used the old granary. We were in there for years, parked the kids underneath the office and asleep. Brilliant, can get an hour's solid work done now. Oh God, they've woken up. But they've just kind of grown with that, and they used to, mum has to have 5 minutes to make a phone call. What's she like? But that's just kind of what they've grown up with, and they've benefited too because I've always been around. They got to come to New York. They've been out to Florida with me to do Highland Games. They've been to Canada. They had 2 weeks in an RV with Emily and I. Poor Emily. Anyway, doing Highland Games. They've done some really fun stuff. They knew what that was at a very young age.
and are any of them likely to come into the business, you think? Or?
No, Harry's proper farmer boy. He was round last night, though, raiding with his friend, going, I need a pair of trousers for an event on Saturday night, Mum. Have you got some? So, yes, raiding the rails. So, he benefits. But yeah, so it's been... my daughter, I don't know, she works in retail. Who knows? She just looks at me and thinks, why would I want to work like you? She does, I think I've put her off, which is a shame. I think I've given her a negative. I do feel a bit sad about that she almost has a slightly negative kind of view of self-employment, where I came from self-employed parents and thought it was the best thing ever. My dad really was like, this is the best life. He was a dairy farmer, so he just worked the whole time, but he just loved it. And he had all his little side hustles that he did. He was very entrepreneurial. So I had a very positive, whereas I think she's very much like, no, I'm going to have a job where I finish at 5 o'clock and I have a life.
Yeah.
But I think as she gets older, she's maybe realising also how much actually Mum does really love what she does. So maybe that's okay.
Anna, we ask all our guests, what is your guiding principle in business?
Stick to that value. I talked about that at the beginning of the quality and my values have kind of gone through the company, and wherever we veered off to do other things or whatever project we do, it's that same core value, the customer service above and beyond, the quality of the product, the promotion of Scotland and all the fabulous things about Scotland. That's who we are. That's stayed constant, whatever we've done. And if you don't believe in that, then don't apply for the job.
Very clear.
Anna, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and we wish you all the luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Edinburgh Business Stories. If you found it useful or inspiring, please do subscribe and follow along for more conversations just like this. And why not share it with your friends too, so that more people can hear these inspiring stories. We'd also love it if you could rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening. This helps more people to find us and ensures that we can keep bringing you these stories for years to come. And if there's someone you think that we should speak to, let us know. We're always looking for great stories to share. You can email us at edinburgh@businessstories.co.uk. And as always, a big thank you to Rathbones for partnering with us on this episode. Rathbones. Invest well, live well.